and go without THC and other cannabinoids that I value. I'm definitely um, going to sauna and exercise. Also have chronic pain. Hey, go Ags! What's up, UC Davis alum? Oh, I think this might be streaming on other things now. Hello, everyone. If you're part of the everyone, I'm answering questions in the chat. I've got two chats going on here, and so yeah, ask me questions and I answer them. Biggest advice for going without treatment, like I say, like tolerance breaks, everything is that if you have the time to do it slowly, that's definitely easier and better than like going super cold turkey. That's just like my 2 cents on it. Because I tend to have like negative or can get negative effects from like just randomly stopping and being 100% off. I'm gonna have to do something about this. I should think my phone should be up here so that I'm all right. You know what? Whatever. I'll figure it out later. Um, but yeah, it, that's a rough one to be in because there are withdrawal effects from weed, and I know that like we like to think that um, cannabis is not addictive, and it certainly is less addictive than other things, but there are negatives to just suddenly stopping if your brain is used to it. I mean, anything with the brain, it happens like not, it's not like right away. We are constantly between what we are yesterday, what we're going to be today. Um, so see, there's a couple University of Maryland people in there. Congrats. That program is so cool. Um, the University of Maryland has a master's program in cannabis science. Restream, thank you. I am on Melon, which is kind of like Restream or kind of like StreamYard. And we shall see how it works out. I don't really know whether or not it's worth doing or not. So I will see. I just kind of like answering questions. So cool question. Um, is this Alana? Any new research you're excited about with THC or CBD? Um, there's a lot. I'm a lot interested in the combination of things together. Like, okay, actually, this is kind of cool. This is actually maybe we'll play name this molecule before, and I'll keep talking about the interesting thing between THC and CBD research. But this is a really cool little molecule. And I'm really interested in now like the synergy between cannabis and other plants and medicines and then all the rares that are present. I mean, my previous research project was on the rare cannabinoids that were in smoke. So like I'm pretty interested in these really niche small molecules and how they are not necessarily the main players like THC or CBD, but that they can certainly have an effect on how THC and CBD function. And I think we're going to see a lot more research having to do with that, having to do with the combinations of THC and CBD and these other things, because it's so much more than that. I mean, they certainly interact with one another. Um, but it is definitely more than just THC and CBD, and that's where the research that I'm the most excited about is happening. And then there's other research that I'm pretty excited to be seeing crop up, which is about sun-grown cannabis. I'm from California, and now I live out in Massachusetts. And one of the big differences that I've noticed is like, I mean, I've noticed a lot of differences, but there's like a lot of there's some pretty big and distinctive differences. And I've felt like sun grown is definitely different, and there's been more recent research that's actually showing that it has different metabolites. And we don't really know a lot about the pharmacology of that, but that I think a lot of us who've had sun grown versus not is like, it is different. Oh, look, my dad is on YouTube. Sup, dad? My dad's like the only person on you on YouTube. Ask me any questions about. Well, I don't know. I guess I can answer a question about anything, but maybe I should say ask me almost anything now that I know my dad's watching. Okay. Great question. Dusty, hold on, I want to make sure. Hey, Drek, what's up? Oh my gosh, my moderator. Do I have moderators on here? Hold on, what's going on? Oh, what's up? Now Drek's my moderator on Instagram. So I'm banned from going live on TikTok. Also, just like full disclosure, I love going live. I love answering questions. I think it's really fun. And yeah, I'm banned from doing it on TikTok. I can't do it. I'm actually like kind of abandoning TikTok in general just because they don't like me. And I don't know. Not that this platform like loves me, but I don't know. I got to figure it out. But I like answering questions. So, and Drek is my main mod, folk punk buddy. We go way back to the TikTok days. Um, I need to send you some stuff, but it's so difficult because you're in Canada, and so like just even just like the amount of money that it costs to send things over there. It's like, oh my gosh, like try to send a coffee mug and the coffee mug is like so heavy. Hey, May is here. Okay, everyone see Mali Cannabis Clinic in there. Awesome nurse practitioner in Hawaii who does cannabis certification and also advocacy. There are some messed up laws going on in Hawaii right now that they're trying to pass. They're trying to make it so that people can't do extractions in their own home. Like they're trying to make it so that you can only get edibles or do extractions like at dispensaries there. Like that is literally makes no sense. Also, it's an accessibility problem, it's a health equity problem. I mean, there are so many issues going on with that. If you live in Hawaii or you care to get involved in politics, you should totally check out the content that May's been putting out. That's Mali Cannabis Clinic in there because this problem goes it goes into everything. Rhode Island actually is trying to pass a law that prohibits more than 3 people from getting together and using cannabis together. What's up with that? Like there's there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of pushback. I think that we had like a really big and expansive sort of like um we had a huge change in what we um in what we like accept and don't accept in society, and then now there seems to be some pushback going on. But yeah, May would know that sun grown is the best because Hawaii has a long history with pakalolo, which is the Hawaiian term for cannabis. And that oh yeah, and we're going to be chatting about it. I need to get a date for that, but May and I are going to be having a chit chat about that. We're going to talk about sun grown. We're going to talk about more ancient strains, the differences between what we could call landrace strains, but are just kind of like older, more historical strains. Because I don't know, like there are people who are specializing in preserving these older strains, and I think that there's so much more research that needs to be done in there. And I think that we need to preserve the culture. That's definitely something else that I feel really passionately about because, a lot of this legislature that's passing, like not being able to extract, not being able to gather in groups of greater than 3, it's about stifling the culture. It's about changing the culture. It's about like getting rid of us. And I don't think that we should be gotten rid of because it's medicine and the culture actually keeps the quality of the medicine very high. And that's something that we struggle with here. Specifically, I'm in Massachusetts. It's a struggle, and it's a struggle for more than one reason. So I really feel strongly about like and in terms of like interpreting the research about how the research shows that culture protects the people. Uh, the research about culture protecting people goes far beyond cannabis. It goes into just like basic structures of human community health because culture always protects the people. Community protects the people. Like we are stronger together and we always have been together. And I feel like that's something that we're in a critical point in cannabis where I definitely feel like we need to recognize that and start looking at it in terms of like medicine and qualities of medicine to like okay, now I'm getting really behind here. I'm missing some good questions probably. Um, oh my gosh, Donna, my stepmom, is also on YouTube. Sup? So right now, my YouTube audience is my parents. Okay, so I'll answer this question and we'll just see how that goes with Donna and my dad watching. Hello. The question was if I ever use mushrooms and cannabis together. And the answer to that is yes. The reason why is because they have different therapeutic benefits and that you can actually increase the therapeutic benefit of both of them by using them together at lower amounts. And in terms of pharmacology, using things at lower doses in general is better and safer because like our body is better able to process things that are on a lower dose. um one of the reasons why alcohol is so toxic for us, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons why alcohol is so poisonous is because we take it in such huge amounts. I mean, the liver struggles to process the amount that we take in. Because if we were able to say drink like, what if alcohol was strong enough that we only needed to drink like an eighth of a beer or like, and a 16th of a glass of wine to feel the positive effects? Well, then it probably wouldn't tax our liver so much because we wouldn't be taking it in like grams and grams of amounts. And the same thing applies to a lot of other things. Now there's a ton of variation depending on the molecule, which if anyone is still around from what this molecule was, this molecule is thuhone. It is present in wormwood, and I created it because the wormwood is sprouting right now, which is crazy. I mean, that's actually really sad for the environment because I'm in New England, so things shouldn't be sprouting yet. It's only the middle of February, but wormwood was sprouting today, and then I was inspired, so I wanted to make a post about it. And this is thuhone, which is the part of absinthe that you have to remove when you're in America because it is said to make you hallucinate, but that's not true. At least from everything that I've read, the dosage that you would need of this for it to even cause any sort of effect is like really high and not actually present in wormwood. So the drink is more like it will be strong, but it's just like really strong liquor. And um yeah, fun fact, my dad and stepmom, stepbrother, Lane and I had a great time with like real absinthe. But yeah, no hallucinogenic properties. But the thuhone does taste good. It has an interesting taste to it. And it's an interesting structure because for me, like this little triangle right here is super interesting. Look at how the bonds are all constrained. I mean, there's a lot of energy that gets held whenever there's like this like sort of like geometric sort of like it's strain, steric hindrance. Like it doesn't like to be in this conformation. Um, anyways, so I found that interesting. And now I need to move on and answer some questions. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of questions. Um, da, 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 da. Oh, and I would love to do lives with people. I think that would be really cool, but I don't accept them when I don't like prepare for them because I like to be able to prep and then we like talk about what we're going to talk about. It's also usually great to be able to meet with the people ahead of time and then like we can vibe and it's easier just to have a conversation. All right. It's a lot of Kelly Bean, what's up? Am I recording for a new podcast? No, so actually I stepped down from my company a couple months ago now. And someone else is on YouTube. What's up? Show it on the stream. You are Magic BBT. Cool. Hi, Miyabi. We are huge fans. Yay. I'm so excited to be doing like a little bit of a longer thing. And then also, like, the quality is much better because this microphone is like tons better than that microphone. And I'm like an audio, I ran a music nonprofit for a few years. Um, and yeah, I'm big on that kind of stuff and I'm excited to be like doing different types of content. I'm going to be video logging a lot. So I'm going to be like going out in the field. I'm doing my first grow this year. Um I'm going to be visiting people. Actually, my first guest is coming here, so he's going to record in the studio with me. This will be exciting. It's going to be Dr. Jeff Rawson, and he is a scientist here in Massachusetts who has been investigating the labs that do all of the testing for compliance here. He's got some interesting stuff to say. Basetown is asking me, have I done this myself or am I just saying something that I haven't tried? I mean, for the most part, I'm just talking about stuff that I've done, to be totally honest with everyone. Like, yeah, I'm a scientist, but I speak a lot from my personal experience. And actually, I feel like my personal experience has informed my knowledge of pharmacology as well. But if you don't need it, like, see ya. Like, it's all good. Like, I don't really mind. I'm just trying to share the knowledge that I have. So, you know, like, let's see. Do you want to switch? Da, 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 da. I mean, I kind of feel like eventually I'll try to do more things on YouTube because I get to do sound effects and stuff, which I'm kind of excited about. But that'll be when I have guests. I'm planning to have a bunch of guests on, and this is like my trial run. So, um, like, oh my gosh, Jill is here. Jill, hi. Um, I'm so bummed that we missed. It's okay. I'm gonna call you tomorrow. I think I'm gonna be driving in the morning. So Jill is awesome. She's the vice president of Orange Photonics and came to our lab and showed us this really. It's basically a portable HPLC in like a briefcase. It's like you show up and it's a briefcase and it's like, well, bam, HPLC. And then I mean, it's not exactly an HPLC. I guess it's maybe more like a flash, but it's really small and it's in a suitcase and everything's very like stable and like portable uh and very very cool. And so it's like this kind of high throughput way, a very very easy way to do different types of profiling, specifically cannabinoids, which is useful especially for hemp farming and for people who like need to be compliant and need to check things throughout their grows, and who don't have the ability to have like a full-blown lab with an HPLC because there's all sorts of solvent based things and stuff. um and it can be different to have like to maintain that in that environment. um and yeah, so I'm totally excited about like, I'm not gonna like fully transition over to this. I'm just testing out my live stream right now. This is kind of like one of my this is just one of my first runs. It's actually literally my very first run um on doing like on doing this sort of thing, like where I'm kind of like streaming on different platforms at the same time and answering questions from more than one place. Um, Dr. Carlos Harris says, "What is your major?" I'm pretty sure you're asking me that. I did my bachelor's of science, my BS in biochemistry and molecular biology. My research as an undergrad was in the eicosanoid system. The eicosanoid system is downstream of the endocannabinoid system, so it's actually kind of cool. Like, I mean, it's not actually kind of cool. I think it's really cool. But this is anandamide. Whoops. Well, it was anandamide. Doop. All right, this is anandamide. If you've seen one of my more recent videos on chocolate, you'll know that chocolate has anandamide. Oh, and also I want to say You Are Magic BBT. So excited. Ask me questions on here, ask me questions wherever. Like I'm open to answering questions and like I'm excited about it. So this is anandamide. The part of it that makes it anandamide, another like name for anandamide is N-arachidinoyl ethanolamine. So this nitrogen is the N. This huge side of it right here is arachidonic acid. So that's arachidinoyl. This entire long fatty chain is arachidonic acid. The N stands for nitrogen. Ethanolamine is right here. So this is ethanol. This is drinking alcohol. And I covered this in my video on chocolate, the longer video on chocolate on YouTube. Um, in the longer video on chocolate on YouTube, I nerd out about the ethanolamines for like kind of too long. I'm not really sure. I think that one turned out a little too long. We'll see. I'm still experimenting. And then ethanolamine because it's attached to the nitrogen. So this is an endocannabinoid. So this is an endocannabinoid that is a partial agonist, just like THC. It activates the CB1 receptors. Now, when it gets deactivated, our bodies chew it up and our bodies deactivate it right here. It goes poop, and we pop this off like that because our bodies, um, the enzyme is FA. That's the main one, fatty acid amide hydrolase, and it forms this and this. This is ethanolamine, and it's like a byproduct. This is arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is a completely active molecule. So this starts an entire cascade called the arachidonic acid cascade, and that's what I started my research career on. So my entire research career was looking at eicosanoids, which is basically just like what this molecule will go on, and it's active in the body and it continues to be active. And I worked on an enzyme that was similar-ish in the same-ish pathways to the one that like Advil and Aleve worked on. um, and then I knew at that point that I wanted to be in the endocannabinoid system because like I love the eicosanoids. I thought it was really interesting because I'm super interested in inflammation. And so a lot of my early research was on inflammation, specifically cardiovascular inflammation. But I always knew that I wanted to do drug discovery and I wanted to move even further up the chain. And I always knew that I wanted to do endocannabinoid system drug discovery because I've been obsessed with cannabis since I was 15. Okay, then I did my PhD in pharmaceutical sciences, and my thesis was on the structural biochemistry of endocannabinoid enzymes. So I did kind of like the atomic scale interactions between these molecules. Between these molecules, well, this is an endocannabinoid. I actually studied synthetic cannabinoids and how like new and novel pharmaceutical compounds could target the endocannabinoid system, how they interact with them at the atomic level, doing mutational analysis, that kind of stuff. And that was my PhD. The last 4 years, I've been a CSO studying the rare cannabinoids present just in smoke at high temperatures, and that's a whole different ball field. It's also pretty interesting, but it's a different one. Let's see. How come my broken body doesn't produce anandamide? Oh my gosh, too real. Ryu, that's too real. Some of us have something called clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. I'm pretty sure I have it. It is linked to fibromyalgia, migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, and a bunch of other things like autism, PTSD, um, and a lot of like kind of like pain related and hypersensitivity related disorders. And it's not clear whether that's the chicken or the egg. Like, is the endocannabinoid deficiency the chicken, or is the endocannabinoid deficiency the egg? Um, yeah, I don't like, you know, I don't know if we know enough yet to say why some of us do or don't create it, but I would take a stab at it has to do with like stress and inflammation, and that some of us have like are more prone to certain types of like intense inflammation. And oh my gosh, my aunt is on YouTube. My family's all on YouTube. What's up, Auntie Bunny? Call her Auntie Bunny because she had these giant rabbits when I was little. He's like really like monstrously large. I think they're called Flemish giants. Like a big. They're very cute. They're very very large rabbits. Um, yeah. So this is okay. This is a great comment by Kelly Bean 0425. Suspecting that I suspect that I have Ehlers-Danlos, endocannabinoid deficiency also makes sense too. Ehlers-Danlos is really complicated. Just as a PSA, I also think I have Ehlers-Danlos. My mom and my mom's entire family, like so my aunt and then my grandmother on my mom's side, like specifically, we all kind of exhibit these like real like extreme hypermobility of many things. Like, I mean, an example of this is that like my body is regularly out of its sockets and kind of like it's called subluxing, and like my ribs are always subluxing, my shoulders are always subluxing. And it's one of the reasons why I have to like work out a lot, because even though it hurts, it actually holds everything together. And it's complicated. It's like I had to work out enough, but not too much, and whatever. Ehlers-Danlos is a spectrum disorder, and it is mutations in the collagen protein, and like one, and there's multiple mutations. There's some people who have different types, tons of different types. They're still discovering new types of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but it's hypermobility. But there are so many other things that come with collagen disorders that's not just hypermobility. There's like mental health type stuff. There's GI issue type stuff. Like skin things are part of it. I have atypical wound closure, which is something that is like an Ehlers-Danlos thing. And there's nothing to really treat Ehlers-Danlos with yet. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of these chronic issues. Like, one of the reasons why like cannabis works so well for chronic issues is because for a lot of these chronic issues, you're really doing symptom management. And symptom management is like a lot about inflammation, and a lot of these like kind of overlap with like autoimmune type things where like your body is attacking itself, and that also is linked to inflammation because inflammation is the most innate part of our immune system. So our immune system has two different parts. One of them is ancient. It's called the innate immune system. That innate immune system is like the one that has developed from like bacteria. It's like an evolutionarily ancient type of immune system. The innate immune system is inflammation. Now, the adaptive immune system is the one that is more recent. That's the one that's like caused like it's the one that's like in mammals. I mean, it's not just in mammals, but it's like the T cells, the T helper cells, the white cells that are more advanced and coordinated. And that combination between innate and adaptive immune system is like a balance. The innate immune system is an immediate response. And often in the human body, it attracts the adaptive immune system. Then the adaptive immune system jumps in and decides what to do. And so a lot of these chronic disorders have to do with these imbalances, and the reason why inflammation is so like bad for all of that and why it can get out of control is because the inflammation is like a little red flag everywhere, tossing little red flags everywhere, and our body doesn't know what to do with it. um there are definitely types. I saw Drek had a question in here about types of Ehlers-Danlos that don't have hypermobility. There, most of them will have hypermobility, but there are some that have different like aspects of it. I know there's a vascular type of Ehlers-Danlos where you bruise very easily, and also you have heart problems. Um, and I think that, um, oh, hey, please stay dope. What's up? Oh my gosh, yay. Hello, Daniel, Dan. I think that most types of EDS will have hypermobility, but it ranges between like what different types, and they're still discovering new and different types that like. Um, okay, really good question here from June Blanken. If you have an ECS deficiency, endocannabinoid system deficiency, and I have similar issues that you mentioned, what have you done to help with that deficiency? Read about it, but no conclusive evidence on what can help. I mean, this is like really difficult conversation, June. Really great question. Um, Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I think medical cannabis is therapeutic, because if you have endocannabinoid deficiency, then using cannabis products that have cannabinoids in them, the reason why cannabinoids like are active on the same system as the endocannabinoids is because they mimic them. So this is CBG, cannabigerol. So this is cannabigerol, and if you haven't tried CBG, I have been such a fan of CBG. I find it to be right in between CBD and THC, and interestingly, so far the in vitro pharmacology also looks to be about in between. But it's like the most similar looking to an endocannabinoid to me because it's this like really long fatty molecule, right? But the reason why these cannabinoids in the plants activate the endocannabinoid system is because they are similar-ish looking and our body thinks that they're endocannabinoids. Like our body has a CB1 receptor to recognize this molecule, the one that we make. And so cannabis is definitely something that I do and that I use to modify it, because one of the things that happens when you have clinical endocannabinoid deficiency, or at least what they believe happens, because it's still pretty early research, it's still a theory, but I mean a lot of things are still a theory. So um one of the things that happens if you have lower levels of endocannabinoids is that your body will make more receptors to compensate, because our body is always trying to balance itself. So let's say your endocannabinoids are really low, then all of a sudden your receptors are going to get high, and some of the negative effects of things are related to that. So like specifically with PTSD, night terrors seem to be related to levels of CB1 receptors and also REM sleep. But that it's been shown in clinical studies that people with PTSD who use cannabis will actually have a reduction in their symptoms. And we do know that if you use cannabis over long periods of time, you develop tolerance, and that tolerance is a reduction in the CB1 receptors. So, that is one of the reasons why I think medical cannabis is valid and important to talk about. Why I think using it every day is okay, because some people need it. Because if you have a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency and you have too many receptors, then using cannabis every day is going to be a way for you to regulate your level of receptors. It'll be a way to bring them back down to a level that then reduces your symptoms. Um, and I think that other than that, the other things that really have helped like in my life are diet. I mean, diet is huge. It's really difficult to do. I mean, depending on where you are and where you live, because like in America, a lot of our food has poison in it, unfortunately. And we just are super saturated with the availability of food, specifically of carbs. Like there's just way too much around that's available for us to get at. For me to be feeling the healthiest, I have to be really, really strict about my diet, and that is taxing and hard and a lot of work, but it's worth it. So I eat a really low inflammation diet, and that has also helped me, along with like trying to make sure that exercise in there. And then also with managing chronic pain, with managing any chronic symptom, anything, your mental health and wellness has to come first, and your limitations and your boundaries have to be respected, because you're not always going to be able to do all the things that you want to do, and you're not always going to be um able to produce the way that capitalism wants you to produce. Like, the priority has to be on your health, because at least for me, when the priority is not on my health, I just start to degrade. If I start trying to push myself past what is good for my health and what I know is good for my health, I immediately just start tanking, and it's not, it's not good. June Blanken's asking me if it's a plant-based diet. It is actually a very animal-based diet. It would be really hard for me to eat a plant-based diet. Not that I couldn't do it. I don't want to, but I like, not that I couldn't, but I can't eat dairy and I can't eat grains and I don't eat sugar. So that would be really difficult to get the right amount of calories. I actually struggle to get the right amount of calories on the diet that I'm on now. Just in terms of like it's not a huge struggle. It's just that, like, I also like to work out because, oh right, if you work out for a long time, the runner's high is associated with an increase in endocannabinoids. So I like to work out. I'm an endurance athlete, and working out raises your endocannabinoid levels. So a lot of people who really like working out. Oh, and if you don't follow Faded and Fit on here, if you're on Instagram, he's awesome, and spreading the love about how stoners can be athletes, and that there's a ton of stoner athletes out there, and that actually the reason why it's so common is because we probably all have endocannabinoid deficiency. Um so okay, wow, I'm like way behind in some of these, and yep. Oh, new cannabis patient and psychonaut. Yeah, I will talk more about putting them together. I'm probably gonna do like a very specific one about combining serotonergics and endocannabinoid stuff, because really, like, that probably takes like a whole lecture to actually. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lecture, but I think it would probably be valuable for me to like bring visuals and board, and I can do it here. This is cool. Like, I mean, I don't have anything that I want to share on the screen on here, but that's one of the reasons why I'm transitioning over to using YouTube, because I could give a lecture and show the presentation while I'm talking. Like, I can prepare an entire PowerPoint that's like, not a boring one like the ones in school, like, but like a fun PowerPoint, because it would be nice for me to be able to show you the serotonin receptor. It would be nice for, like, look, I think I can, hold on. Let me do it. I'll figure it out in here. And then I'll turn the camera around so you guys can see it. But it's like, it's much easier to be able to prepare something that then I could just on the computer be like, oh, hey, here's this thing that, um, and it's just all like boop, boop, boop. And I can click it and it shows up and it's all nice. And it's like, as opposed to having to, like, right here, I could open, I think I can just open this tab and then show it to everyone, and then I'll show you. This is what I brought to my meeting with my district attorney. I met with my local district attorney about decriminalizing psychedelic medicines. And let's see if I can share this, and I'll turn this around so I can show you guys what is going on. Also, I love that everyone's just chatting in the chat. I see that people are asking questions and I'm definitely missing them, so I'm sorry. But also people are answering the questions, which is really cool. I love the community that comes with people who are trying to better themselves and learn more, and like that's what this community is all about. And everyone here, this is a zero judgment zone. I'm not about it. Like, I'm all about like all of us finding what works for us. It's going to be different, and that we are all different, and we all have our own experiences, and that they're certainly valuable because none of us are average. So I love that everyone's just sharing their experiences and stuff. That's like, this is amazing. Um, and now I'm going to try to share. Okay, share my screen. Heads up before you share your screen. Screen sharing works best on powerful computers. Oh gosh. Okay, no, my computer's not powerful. Well, let's give it a try. Um I'm going to give it a try anyways. Okay, is I people are looking at my screen now. I think, I'm not sure. I'll have maybe Dad or Donna or Auntie Bunny, someone text me and tell me if you're looking at the screen. Um this is a timeline of the relevant legislature. These are all the decriminalized movements that happened. And I was like just highlighting all the places that decriminalized, and like, so far there's actually only been one district that has backed up the city. So like, other than the states, I mean, there's been Colorado and Oregon, huge. Oregon, like, so excited for that. Um, but there's been like a lot of legislature at the city level, and they call upon their districts. But so far, like, the only district that's responded has been Michigan's, Ann Arbor, Michigan's district. There's currently policy going through in Massachusetts, or at least it's been proposed in both the House and the Senate. But this is kind of what I was like saying would be cool to show with serotonin. Okay, let me just turn this around so that you all are looking at it too, because I'm just talking right now. How do I do it? How do I do it? There we go. Okay. I guess this isn't super hard. Oh, Donna's telling me. Oh, shoot. Donna says that they're not looking at the screen. Okay. You know what? That's so annoying. But okay, well, I guess that's funny. I'm like, oh, YouTube's gonna be so much better, and it's not working on the YouTube. Sorry. I'll figure it out for the next one. um, this is on the left here is the psilocybin molecule, and on the right is serotonin. So they're super, super similar. Here's the serotonin receptor. This is psilocin bound to the serotonin receptor. Anyways, what I was trying to get at, which is funny because apparently it's not working on the app, was that I do want to talk more about the synergy between I do want to talk more about the synergy between the endocannabinoid system and the serotonin system because also for people who've been following me for a long time, I consider those two systems married. I think they are married and they're so close. And I am the endocannabinoid system, and my wife Lane is the serotonin system. And like that's how I feel about it. They're so integrally related. They talk to one another and they control some of the most important things in the body together, and they're synergistic. I mean, I think that like any of us that have used them together know that they're synergistic. And if you haven't used them together, you should know that they are, just to be prepared. That was kind of part of what the PSA that I was doing in my videos about is that, first of all, there's big therapeutic benefit from being able to use less. And then, second of all, like it is important also to know that they potentiate one another, because if you're not prepared for it, then it's not a good time. There are certainly things that like don't mix well. And it's always important to know that. And it's always important to be like, oh, and the dopamine system. Yeah, definitely. Okay. This is a cool question, Devin. I'm glad I was able to um see this. Oh, bummer. Yeah, my dad also says no screen. I'll figure it out. You know, this is I'm not super well, I'll have to do that later. Turns out that maybe this is actually the easier thing to do. Um but okay, so receptor dimerization is a really interesting concept that's probably only like 20 years old at the oldest, probably younger, maybe like 15. Um, when I was getting my PhD, it was still like kind of under debate. So basically, we have studied these receptors on their own: the CB1 receptor, the dopamine receptor, the D2 receptor, the serotonin receptor. Most people are familiar with the 5-HT2A receptor, since that's the one that is associated with tripping. But there's also 7 other serotonin receptors, and then some of them have many different subtypes. So you have these receptors, and we've been studying them. Like, here's the CB1 receptor by itself, and here's the D2 receptor by itself, and for my feet over here where my foot is, there's the serotonin receptor, and they're all by themselves. And we've been studying them as if they exist, even though they're on all the brain cells. Like, and they're not all of them are everywhere, but you know what I'm saying, they coexist in a lot of places. um, we've been studying them separately though. And more recently, we've found that actually these receptors come together and that they like form like a transformer. They're like "Doo-doo," from the powers combined, and then they signal differently when they're together. So it's been shown that people who use cannabis have more of these heterodimers between the CB1 receptor and specifically the serotonin 5-HT2A and 2C receptors, which I think is interesting. Um, and that they do signal differently. So when the receptor is by itself, it will signal differently than when it's with the other type of receptor. And I mean, I just think that's like one of the coolest. I mean, someone asked me if I was interested, like what the coolest things about CBD and THC research is, and I think the coolest research is in like receptor heterodimerization, like complex natural products interactions with like actually. So my dad is drinking this bitter melon tea. I don't know if any other Asians going on in here. They know the bitter melon. It's like a common tea, a common tea. And it's anti-inflammatory. And so I've been looking into it because I'm super curious. My dad says it's like the only thing that's been helping his gout, which I was kind of bummed about because I sent him some topicals. But I mean, I'm not bummed. I'm happy that it's working. I'm glad that the bitter melon tea is working for you, Dad. But I was just meaning like I was like all excited about the topicals, being like, you should use these hemp topicals because hemp topicals work for me. I mean, I use them like almost every day. I mentioned I wake up with like kind of like pre-arthritic handy type stuff, which sucks, but it goes away by the middle of the day. And it does tend to like come back like at night. I don't know. But I love topicals, but my dad's been saying this bitter melon, and I am looking more into Ayurvedic practices. I'm actually currently taking a class with Dr. Joe Tafur, who is specifically teaching a course on the spiritual emotional component of psychedelics in modern medicine, how we can be harnessing this like community spiritual and emotional impact for our mental health and for our physical health. I think mental health is physical health. um Oh, cherry extract work for your grandpa's gout. No clue if it's true. I wonder what type of cherry. I'm gonna look that up. Dad, do you hear that? Try some cherry extract. Although, I mean, I love cherries, although I've never heard that there's much in cherries other than like sugar and maybe anthocyanins. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's definitely interesting. Um, and I think that like, oh, okay, here's a good question about the heterodimerization before I just get totally off topic here. And I'm probably gonna wrap this up in a little bit just because I've been monologuing now for like almost an hour. Um, and you're all probably tired of hearing me talk. But what causes them to transform? Now, that's like a super interesting, and I wish that I had a way to show the receptor, but maybe I'll do it with my body. Okay, so like back up a little bit. Okay, this is an endocannabinoid, and this molecule's in our body, and I'm the receptor. Like I'm the CB1 receptor. And it's like when the molecule comes and attaches to the receptor, it like changes the shape of the receptor. So like anandamide specifically comes in and it's like, oh, like 60% changed. And then if 2AG were to come in, it'd be like 100% because 2AG activates the receptor more than anandamide receptor. And then there's other things like, I mean, this is a bad example because it's CBG, but if we pretended like it was CBD, if we just like pretended like the structure here was like this and it was more like, pretend like it's CBD and not CBG, CBD actually comes at really high doses. It just blocks the receptor. It doesn't move at all. It just is blocking other people. And at lower doses, it like binds to a different location, like on the back or something over here. And then it doesn't like when it's over here, it basically makes it so that it's dimmer. So like the change is a little less. Like it stabilizes the shape in a different way. That's called allosteric modulation. Um, there's all sorts of different things that molecules do to transform the structure of proteins. That is definitely like one of my niche interests because the structural biochemistry of the endocannabinoid targets like was my PhD. So that's exactly what I studied. I studied how these molecules change the shape of receptors and enzymes and how that leads to all of the effects that we end up feeling. It is incredibly complicated. Um, and oh my gosh, someone is saying Angie Hans, thank you, is saying tart cherries that you could get it in a gummy or a pill form as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Also, I'm gonna look that up. I bet you it's in my book. I bet you it's in I bet you it's in one of my books. I'm gonna have to, you know what, let me just write it down so I don't forget. Tart cherries for anti-inflammatory. Anti-inflammatory. So I'm also starting a medicinal garden. And I'm gonna be doing like medicinal garden, like tea type stuff, and I'm really excited about that. I live in Salem, so it's pretty witchy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think. Wait, I'm not sure if the Green Witch who just joined is Rachel, but if it is, what's up? Hi, I'm just talking about the medicinal garden. So exciting. Um, Definitely interested in foraging. I'm also getting interested in that. I learned how to identify all the different conifers in my region. So, like, specifically, we have the different types of pine, we have different spruce, we have different cedar. And I am like also learning about how you can do like sustainable harvesting and make sure that you always leave like more in nature so that it can come back and it can regenerate itself. But super interested in that. Actually, one of my friends, Gordon, who is fascinated by fungi and has awesome content and is a forager and a mushroom hunter. And he actually inspired me a long time ago. I had a chat with him, I guess it was like over a year ago. We were talking about what he thought about mushrooms and the medicinal properties like reishi, chaga, like lion's mane, which I take chaga every day. I've experimented with reishi and with lion's mane before. I have not noticed as big of a difference as I had with chaga. Like, and again, I've mentioned this morning. I'm not sure if it's just because the quality of the chaga that I get is so high because Riley makes the chaga extract that I use. But I noticed the difference like crazy. And so I use chaga every day. But in terms of that, another thing he said it was interesting about like just being able to use mushrooms to replace meat. Not like fully replace meat necessarily, but just like eat way less meat. And I've been trying to do that in the last few weeks, and it's been pretty successful. Like you can like stretch meat a long way by adding mushrooms to it. Like, and I want to get more into the habit of, I want to start a spore print diary. I want to like learn and catalog all the things. I live really close to a bunch of woods, and I'm excited about that. I'm gonna be, hey, Liv is here. Hi. And I'm definitely like, oh my gosh, this is such a good question. Okay, I'm gonna show this one on the screen. You are Magic BBT says, so exciting. Can you talk more about your permaculture projects? Saw the post on Instagram and loved me showed how the food prep too. Yeah, the food, the okay, so this two kind of separate questions. The permaculture stuff I'm just getting into. Like I literally was reeling from I will we can maybe this will be another whole topic, but like I was not in a good spot and I was in a big transition and I didn't know, like I was sort of like, hey, I'm just like in a transition. I'm just going to do something else. I was going to tutor and just figure out like what I can do. I had to respect the limitations of the time and I was not like able to do what I was doing previously, which was acting as a CSO of a biotech startup. So I was looking and I was talking to some friends that live and work on a farm, and they were like, we always need help on farm. Like, we literally always need help. And then that first week, I cleaned out a field, stored some dahlias for the winter, rigged it all out, like cultivated it, set it all up with the rose, planted the garlic, and then insulated it with a bunch of hay. And I was just like sold. Like that first week of like prepping, cleaning that one small field. It's a small plot. It's a small plot urban permaculture farm that heavily is focused on like food equity and fresh products and also like medicinal herbs. And I am so excited and so lucky to be in the position to be able to explore that. I'm also really excited to be doing some research with hemp because I've never actually tried to grow the cannabis plant myself, and I need to. I need to understand cannabis from the point of its seed. Like I need to. I have like a longing for it because I love and respect this plant so much, and I need to understand everything about it, and in order to do that, I need to cultivate it. It was something that I should have done a long time ago, honestly. Like, I definitely think it's already adding so much to my understanding of it just from doing the research on what I'm planning on doing, this upcoming spring, summer, and like further. And so the projects that are currently going on, I mean, there's a good number of projects. There's no shortage of ideas in the idea factory, I suppose. But um, one of the things I'm the most passionate about is about trying to make a more natural medicinal herb sort of like pathway. um it's going to be a garden. I want it to be a garden, but I also think it should be like more free form. And then I'm going to be experimenting with putting certain things together. Like one of the things I'm very interested in right now is pitch pine, because we have a big area of pitch pine that I stumbled upon back in the woods, and I love the way it smells. It's very different. It has like a muskier, like sort of like flavory than Eastern pine, which Eastern white pine is like the more common one here. And then um oh my gosh, community roots. I'm gonna check for your email, by the way. I'm checking for your email for sure, and I am definitely hitting up Shango told me that he would give me all the deets, although I told him that I should just like listen to his podcast first. If you don't listen to Shaping Fire by Shango Los, you need to go follow Shango Los and Shaping Fire, because first of all, Shango's my dude. He is so cool and just a really interesting person who has a very interesting personal story, personal tie to cannabis, and a wealth of knowledge. Like his podcast is really great, and he does a really good job of bringing on like speakers that he asks the right questions and kind of like probes in the right way. And I mean, I met Shango from doing a podcast with him. And I like we hit it off, and he's been like, I'm so lucky to be able to call him my friend now because he's just a cool person who's taught me a lot. And he's already taught me a lot, just in contemplating talking to him about auto flowers. He's big on auto flowers. And has done a lot of education around that, and also education around like extraction types like RSO and hash. And yeah, I'm absolutely going to seek all the help from. I'm going to crowdsource this whole thing. I'll be video logging it all the way. You guys are going to be coming with me. I probably will start the video log on YouTube within the next couple weeks. I'll be posting some of the videos everywhere. I'll be posting like little bits of the videos everywhere, but I'm going to do like a true video log where I bring this camera with me. I'll show you guys. I'm going to be bringing that little guy with me and getting some lavalier mics and just explaining what I'm doing and what we're growing and like why we're doing it. And like the wormwood was coming up today. That's why I made the thuhone, which is right here, this weird little molecule. The wormwood was like so pretty. I mean, it's such an interesting like leaf structure. It's really, really pretty. And I'm very partial to silver plants, like the plants that get that like silvery sheen on them. So cool. Um, so I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to learn more about permaculture. I don't have much to say other than how excited I am to like start doing it because I don't know a lot yet about it other than I know certain plants are companion plants to one another. I know certain things are good for the soil like things, and then some plants grow together because they provide shade for other plants. But it's all about knowing like your land and everything that grows well in your climate and that whole thing too. And so the farm that I'm on is also a native nursery. So we actually already planted a lot of the seeds because they need to go through stratification, which is something I learned this year. Stratification is where the seed actually has to freeze over the whole season. It has to freeze and thaw and it cracks the shell, and that's what allows it to germinate. So hopefully I mean, it was really cold a couple weeks ago, but overall we had a pretty warm winter. Um, so, like I'm hoping that it's enough for there to be stratification, um, and being able to do it. And like, oh yeah, so okay. Oh hey, Propane Jane, what's up? Hash fight. Um, Earthy versus sweet in regards to pitch pine. So I don't know actually like what is the difference in the different pines. I know that all the pines have pinene, right? I mean, that's like, and pinene is like kind of similar looking to this. I mean, it's not, it's a little bit different, but I guess let's see how close I could get from memory. Um, Pinene is pretty similar to like limonene, and there's two types of pinene, alpha and beta. And I do know that all pines have pinene. The question is, so all pines have pinene. The question really is whether or not pitch pine would have a different terpene, or whether it's not a terpene, whether it's something else. I feel like I'm missing something here. No, this isn't right. Hold on. That looks more right. I don't know. Hold on. Let's revisit this. So pinene's a small monoterpene that is if you've ever smelled what is it called? Turpentine. Turpentine is mostly pinene. Um I think it's funny. Eastern is sweet. Yeah, so Eastern pine is like totally sweeter. Tannins, bi and triterpenes, definitely. There's esters. Okay, also all plants also contain like tons of other things in them. Like plants are very, very complicated in their secondary metabolite profiles. I really wanted to study plants. That was something that I was like very I was so into doing secondary metabolites. I really wanted to do that. And then the reason why I ended up not being able to was because, hey, I got pretty darn close to that. I'm missing two CH3s. That's not bad at all. Um the reason why I didn't was because when I went for my PhD program, one of my advisor at the time said, "Hey, why don't you go talk to someone else who's doing research in that space?" And like whoever, so this is Pinene, and see like what they think about what you should do research in. So I went and talked to them and I said, like, I really want to do endocannabinoid system research. I really want to know secondary metabolites. I really want to understand the molecular mechanism of plants. And the researcher at UC Davis told me that research is going to be really, really expensive. And actually, if you want to research molecular mechanism, you should go into pharmaceutical sciences because there's more funding for pharmaceutical sciences. And because that is actually where most of that level of what is called basic research is done, is in the pharmaceutical world. So that's why I went for pharmaceutical sciences, but it's really great to be able to be on a farm right now and go back to like the roots of why I love science. I mean, like my love of science, actually like the deep love of it, goes back to in high school when I learned about the enzyme in all of the plants that takes carbon from the air and turns it into carbon that is physical that then we eat and everything. Um and hey, Chad Westport is here. He says, "Sweet, love the chocolate video. Actually, they all rock. Sitting here editing our video and taking a break. What's up?" So I'm gonna be on Chad's channel doing little tidbits about the endocannabinoid system. We covered all the basics, so like the very, very most basic thing. And it's going to be kind of a good resource for people if you're looking to point someone in the very beginning to like the question of like, does everyone have an endocannabinoid system? What is an endocannabinoid system? That kind of stuff. So that's on Chad's channel on YouTube. Chad also has an Instagram. And I'm super excited to be collaborating with so many awesome people. Like there's a lot going on this year, and I'm just like embracing like all of the I'm so lucky to have been able to find like such a community of people who love and care about the science. And it really is like all of you all who love learning about the science and like talking about it and like talking to each other about the new science research and about pushing boundaries. Like it is without a doubt that it is actually everyone else who like watches my videos and who interacts with my videos who has created the community that we all embrace about learning and being able to do this. Because like without the ability to um without the ability to have students to teach, then I would just be like alone with my special interest, which is kind of what it's been like before, which is like it's still a lot of fun, but it's so great to be able to share like all the things that I nerd out about with other people who, love it just as much as I do. Um and like um oh my gosh. Chad is like, my audience is fresh. And then Brian, we're fresh, all right. Yeah, I mean, I think that learning about the endocannabinoid system at its deepest level, and now I'm trying to like more transition into learning a little more about botany and horticulture. And I won't be able to learn about that at its deepest level. I mean, not I won't be able to learn about it at deepest level, but I'm learning about it in the practical sense, right? Of growing the plant and growing other plants together. Um, and yes, I definitely have heard of Dr. Bonnie Goldstein. Super excited about that. I have a whole list of um kind of like I have a whole long list of different literature because my entire mental library is in structural biochemistry. And then now, more recently, it's a little bit more into like extraction and then some of the pharmacology of like the rare cannabinoids, which there's just limited information on too, which super excited. Anyways, I'm gonna take off in a little bit. I'm so like grateful to have been chatting and answer all your questions. And this has been really, really fun. I'm going to be doing it again. I'm going to be having audiences. I'm going to be figuring out how to get this thing working so that they can be a little bit more organized, because I will be doing ones on serotonergics, like the classic psychedelic serotonergics and cannabis. I will be doing one talks about neurodiversity in cannabis. I have a couple of series planned on also the history of pharmaceuticals because I don't think people know enough about the history of pharmaceuticals. I think that people should know a lot more about it. Like, for example, like Prozac is only 3 years older than me. Most people find that shocking. It's like we think that we've known about these things for far longer than we have. And um, I would like to do a video series, like a longer one, where I kind of backtrack the entire history of my field because my specific field, which is structural biochemistry for drug discovery, has kind of only been around for like less than 100 years. And we could track every single discovery, and it's interesting and it'll be fun. And it'll also, I think, be different than from what people's opinion is of what the pharmaceutical industry is. So cool. I am excited and this was really fun. So I hope everyone has a great night. And I think I am going to figure out how to end this thing on here. Goodbye. Good night, everyone. Uh oh. Okay. Oh, this one is still going. Goodbye.